Hello, everyone on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Welcome to Two Guys and Their Gym Talk Show. This is a weekly talk show every Monday. Noel and I are here talking about stories of our clients, of our group classes. We are here with the mission to inspire you for life. So this is a chance, and it's also I would say, and Q&A. If you have any questions regarding to fitness, nutrition, training, business, mindset, motivation. Sounds like we like a Tony Robbins group, Noel.
We do everything. We talk about anything and everything that's gonna make your life a little better. And that's not only fitness, there's a lot of things that can improve your life. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. Happy Monday. I love Alvin's bright red shirt. Alvin's always in a bright color. We are excited for today's episode. We are on episode 58, and today we're going to talk a little bit about being healthy, eating healthy, making healthier choices during the month of Ramadan. It's fasting. It's the fasting period. It's just started. I've got the Ramadan Bazaar just happening near my house. It's the TTDI Bazaar, which is supposed to be quite popular. Traffic jam in the evenings. It's like, which is actually nice to see because for the past 2 years, it wasn't really like that. You know, the Ramadan Bazaar was not in all its glory. So that's very nice as we drove past earlier to see. So if you're watching this right now, whether on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, like Alvin said, this is a Q&A, and we also want to get to know you better. So comment below. First thing, where are you streaming in from? We would love to know whether you're one of our regulars, like Penny and Sharon. I know exactly where they stay, but they're going to still comment and tell us where they're streaming in from. So comment below, where are you streaming in from? And this is our question of the day. If you could be friends like buddies, hang out, okay? With any cartoon character, what character would this be? Tell us. I'm going to
I
ask
love
Elvin.
this.
Elvin, tell us, where are you streaming in from? And tell us about any favorite cartoon character that you want to be your buddy and hang out with.
Awesome. I love that. Very interesting question. I'm tuning in from Kajang, and the character that first pops in my mind is We Bear Bears. So there's three bears. There's the grizzly bears, a panda bear, and an ice bear. So they're three different colors. And I love it so much. Let me rephrase that. It pops into
Yeah.
my mind because my niece watches it. Okay. So it's always there, We Bear Bear. And of course, I watch it with her. But the more I watch, I realize that these three bears each have different characters, different habits, different characters. And at the end of the show, there's always a lesson to learn. And as I watch with my niece over the past few days, I realized that I can relate to some of the bears. Like I've noticed, like I'm a little bit ice bear, where it's very quiet, very reserved, and then certain stories, the characters change, the personalities change. So that really strikes me. We Bear Bear sounds funny, but I
Yeah.
find it interesting.
I never knew that character existed, but like you said, it's because you watched the cartoons with your niece, so you know about this character. Okay, great. And Alvin is streaming in from Kajang, of course, and I'm streaming in from TTDI in KL. And if I could, so if you're just streaming in, answer this question for us, please. We're just getting to know each other a little better. Comment below where you're streaming in from, and if you could have friendship, be buddies, best buddies with any cartoon character, who would that be? My answer would be um, Optimus Prime from Transformers. Transformers was actually a
Wow.
cartoon first, okay? To those who didn't know and thought that it was the movies, like no, it was like a cartoon in the 80s probably, and you should see the first version. But that I think I would want to be friends with Optimus Prime. I think he's very wise, and there's lots that I can sit down with him and learn about and get advice on what to do about things. So yeah, we take this question very seriously.
I, I was wondering when you said Optimus, but I'm wondering like, then
Like
Noel will ask
why?
him to
Right?
transform into any vehicle for you, right?
No, I
Transform,
think he
Optimus.
should stay as a truck. He wouldn't be good as anything else. But that's my answer to my friends. So if you're streaming in, let us know what's your buddy that you want from the cartoon world, cartoon character. Sharon Ko is streaming in from Shah Alam. her character that she wants to be friends with would be Remy from Ratatouille, which is that
Oh,
what's this, Disney cartoon. Yeah, I watched it once, but I know the character that you mean. Thank you for sharing, Sharon. Maybe indulge us. Let us know why you chose Remy. Penny is tuning in from Penang. Penny saying she wants to be buddies with Bugs Bunny.
yeah.
Great.
Bugs Bunny sounds fun.
Yeah, Penny and Bugs Bunny can eat healthy together. Eat their vegetables. Great. Okay. In today's show, we're gonna talk a little bit about healthy eating, and actually not just about healthy eating, but how to make healthy choices about anything that's gonna get you closer to your health and fitness goals during this Ramadan. Now, is there something magical that's gonna happen with your fitness during Ramadan? No, but this is a time where people have questions, people have challenges because you can't eat from sunrise until the sun goes down. Also, disclaimer: Elvin and I, we're not Muslims, but we have clients that we work with who are Muslims,
Right.
and we've worked with them whether people continue training and stick to their fitness routine during the month of Ramadan. That's also possible. So these are some of the things that we'll discuss, and we love to hear any questions that you may have as well. Anything about fasting, training during the fasting period, and this disclaimer also: we don't claim to know the answer to all questions.
Mm-hmm.
We try our very best to answer them, and if we don't know the answer, I'm just going to tell you I don't know the answer, and I'll help find the answer for you. That's what
That's
we
right.
can do. Yeah. What's you, Alvin? What do we have next?
I think we will dive into fasting month. I love that you mentioned that we don't fast, but we work with lots of clients throughout this period. And this is something that think of it today that even if you don't fast and if you would want to practice intermittent fasting, a lot of tips and theories that Noel and I are going to share today, it's very similar to intermittent fasting. Perhaps one of the significant differences is intermittent fasting, we're allowed to drink water, whereas if you're fasting during Ramadan as a Muslim, you're not allowed to drink water. But a lot of things share a very similar foundation. And Noel and I, in today's episode, want to talk a little bit about the foundation because every week we get questions asking, can I lose fat with intermittent fasting? Can I do this to lose fat? So we want to spend like
Mm.
a large amount of time covering the foundation with you. So if you can understand the foundation, it will answer a lot of your questions. So invite you to ask questions that perhaps is a little bit deeper, perhaps it's a little bit that surrounding intermittent fasting, surrounding your experience. And Noel and I, once again, will try our best to answer. We're not a nutritionist, but we'll be sure to lead you to a possible solution. So I
Yeah.
guess we're going to begin by sharing that
Yeah. But let me also
fasting.
ask you
Noel?
first, Elvin, before we get
Mm.
into some of our discussion points. Just have you ever fasted? Any
Oh,
kind of
yes, I
fasting that
have.
you've done?
Yes.
Tell us about
I,
that.
in
Like, what have,
fact,
what have you done?
I have a series on Ramadan series where I did with 4 clients, I think 3 years ago, and actually fast for a day. And I did it a video and I go through the whole experience as if I'm going through Ramadan. So I got the video that's a 5 minute videos, and
Nice.
of course I didn't drink water going through it. It's doable. It's doable. It can be challenging. I guess the first thing that is challenging is mental. Yeah, because I feel that we our physical body can take it,
Yeah.
without water, without food. And think about it, our Muslim friends have been doing it for years since they are young. And as they grow up, they get really, really, I would say, adapt to it really. You're
Yeah.
doing it every year for 30 days.
Yeah. And that's an interesting story. So you attempted a fast because you wanted to relate to your clients and you were producing some materials and videos
Right.
talking about Ramadan. My first time that I really got into fasting was, but I didn't abstain from water. Okay, it was just food. I went without food for 48 hours. This is first time. Before that, don't even skip meals. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is maybe 10 years, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago. It was because I was asked to do a radio interview on BFM and talk about fasting and fitness, and I was like, I'm in no way qualified. I can talk around it, but the least I should do is experience some form of hunger. So I just didn't eat for 2 whole days and 48 hours. So when I was doing the interview, it's just a 30-minute interview. I was already crossing the 48-hour point, and I could just, I felt that is my first attempt with fasting lah. But after that, then again, we've always dabbled with intermittent fasting and so on. So just again, disclaimer, there's a little bit about our experience with fasting, but really what we hope to bring to you today is really stories and the advice that we share with our clients. And if you have any questions or anything you want to share or any points that you want us to talk about when it relating to fasting, whether or not it's Ramadan fasting, whether it's abstaining from food, like just water fasting, even, which I tried for 3 days and then I stopped. So I didn't eat for 3 days, and there's all kinds of fasting, right? So you want to talk about it, just comment below and we'll get to that in today's show. Great. So
Right.
how shall we start this, Alvin?
I think I'm just going to start by saying, when we talk about fasting, a lot of people thinking like fasting meaning eating less, losing weight. But in most of the cases, if you look at fasting, it's not so much on eating less, it's just
Right.
on the timing of the meal. Like, for example, if you look at like Ramadan for the Muslim, they are fasting for a period of time and then they have a window of opportunity to eat, for that 8 hours. And it's just like any other intermittent fasting. Like, Noel, you did what, 48 hours without any food, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a time. And oftentimes people think that fasting is the time to lose weight, which means eat less. If you really think about it, right, not many people really eat less. They just eat less frequently because of the time. But what a person can really eat within that few hours sometimes amaze me. And that's why
Yeah.
you heard, or at least I heard, I speak of myself, I heard like client comes to me, Alvin, Ramadan, I'm supposed to lose weight. I'm supposed to eat less, but turns out in the end, I actually gain weight. So you have to realize that fasting is not about eating less. Fasting, if you look at the idea, the theory behind it is the time constraint. But the mistake I feel most people or tend to overlook is the food that they are eating. They tend to eat more during that short period of time.
Yeah, and I think that happened. Like, see, the when I was much younger and when I was in school and I spoke to all my friends, they just fasted because they had to fast and they eat when they're supposed to eat, right? But as you grow older and you meet, have clients who are adults, their approach to fasting is completely different. It's really a time that they look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Muslim clients that have look forward to a time of fasting, and it's some people do take advantage of the fact that, okay, I'm not going to be eating, this is my chance to eat healthier, and to eat less food. Because if you think about it, it's not so much like Elvin said just now, it's not about eating more, it's not about eating less, but it's just about playing the timing. It's about the timing of when you're eating your meals. If you think about it, when it comes to the time to break fast, should you like try to catch up and eat the food that you didn't eat for the past 12 hours? Because that shouldn't be how it is, right? If that's the case, means when I did my 48 hours fast, should I be like trying to eat 48 hours worth of food? It's not about that. It's really about resuming your eating. And if you do it in that kind of an approach, I think a lot of people naturally, even if they don't work out or they don't train, naturally tend to lose a little bit of weight. So I think the weight loss thing always comes up because people take advantage of the fact I'm not going to eat what, right? So it's a bit more controlled. I don't have to worry about lunchtime, and what to eat and so on. So people take advantage. I know a lot of trainers who run programs to help
Mm-hmm.
clients to lose weight during the month of Ramadan, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But I really think that fasting is an opportunity. Like for me, when I did that fast, it actually made me learn a lot about myself. I realized that just because you're hungry doesn't mean you need to eat. That was one
Right.
massive lesson that I learned, because we always assume that I never eat, I'm going to faint. No, actually, your body is a lot smarter than that. So that's the lesson that I learned, that food, being hungry is not an emergency. It also taught me to appreciate how abundant food is. So easy, hungry, we can get food just like that. Just get on an app and order, and in 20 minutes, it's in front of your house, right? So being in a fasted state, going on a fast during Ramadan or any other time, teaches us those kinds of lessons. And then you realize that, okay, so the next time I don't have access to anything to eat, it's no big deal. I can just get
Right.
back to it later. So I think that's one huge lessons that my clients learn and realize that, and people who do intermittent fasting as well realize that just because you're hungry doesn't mean it's an emergency. And that's a game changer, especially with people trying to lose weight because they are hungry. I have to eat something. I have to eat something. But just getting someone to experience fasting makes them realize that, oh, wait a minute, I was just fine when I didn't eat something. So that's been helpful
Yeah.
for a lot of our clients.
I guess the first thing that happens when we try something new, lah, like in your case, when we go into intermittent fasting, or when you just start Ramadan, you've been what, it's once 30 days every year, it's not something that you do every month. When you try something new, the first thing that the body will sense is like, hey, Alvin haven't been eating for the past 12 hours. Start sending signals to your brain. So the first challenge is actually the mental challenge that your body sends something Noel is doing different. Alvin hasn't been drinking water. And it goes into, I won't say survival mode, but it will start to like up the levels like, oops, let's take in more food just in case Alvin don't eat again, just in case Alvin don't drink water again. So I would say it's the mental that kind of pushes us because it's something
Yeah,
that we're not used to. Think of it like an exercise. You never exercise and then suddenly you go, you would experience some changes like mental feel fatigue, of course, body soreness, so on and so forth. So I really love that point about just because we are hungry doesn't mean we have to eat
yeah,
immediately. That's the body sending signal to your brain that, oops,
yeah,
no food coming in for the past 12 hours, not necessarily we must eat. So that's our first point. For if you are watching, I invite you to ask any questions in the comment below. Noel and I are talking about healthy Ramadan, or if you are not fasting, the tips, the advice, the guidelines that we are going to share today can help you to plan if you are plan to do intermittent fasting or something that you can share with your Muslim friends or your friends who are fasting and have conversation around. Because Noel and
yeah,
I are here want to give you the real truth, the solid science, and we are using a lot of reference from Precision Nutrition. So it's not from Alvin's or Noel's, tips or what is are all backs up research and science. In fact, we are also going to share with you two research study on Ramadan at the end of this. So you want to stay tuned for that. Two research studies.
yeah. So the first thing we kind of touched on was about how hunger is not an emergency. So that's one thing fasting teaches you. I believe another thing also that when our clients come to us and they want to maximize their training, they still want to train, they don't want to stop. So how do they do things differently? Because now I can't drink water throughout the day. So if they used to always train at 4:30 in the afternoon, now can I still train? So those are the questions that our clients come to us with. And what we do with our clients is it's really up to them. What we generally recommend is to kind of just lower the intensity a little bit. If you really want to crush it and you want to do one of those workouts, then it's probably better to get those workouts done once you have broken your fast. Eat a little bit, there's a snack, and then you go do that killer workout you've been dying to do, and then you can have another meal. So that's what we would recommend for our clients. Although having said that, we have Muslim clients who over the years have formed their own routines. I have a couple of clients who train in the morning. Morning means like 7:30 a.m. and they can't eat after that. They can't even drink water after that, but they are used to it. It's how they fit in workouts into their routine because when it comes to the evening, they're not going to be working out. They want to spend time with their family that's breaking fast and they go to the mosque and they have their routine. So they fit it in. So the main thing here, I guess, is really to find what works for you, although there may be some optimum times. But then again, I always tell my clients that it's not like you and I are going to compete in the Olympics that we need to fuel ourselves like athletes. Once a year it's okay to just pull back on the gear of our fitness goals and stay active and still be a part of the whole Ramadan season. So if you're wondering, the second point we're talking about is really if you're wondering, like, should I continue training? What do I do? Do I freeze my gym membership? I don't know what it's like. Find your own routine. It does not have to be exactly what you were doing before because you can't drink and your eating times have all changed, but find something to make it work. I think a lot of gyms also have classes that run kind of late. I know some trainers who run classes at 9:30 p.m.
Right.
to cater for the crowd who wants to train at 9:30 p.m., which is amazing. Now, we don't have classes at 9:30 p.m. Our last class is at 7:30, but that's amazing how they cater for them. What do your clients do when it comes to Ramadan and they are fasting and they still want to train? Do they go on a break, or how do you ease them into a routine, Elvin?
I like that you mentioned that, as much as our goal is fat loss, we can always change goal throughout the year. So what I do is periodization. Periodization meaning that in a training program, we have multiple goals throughout different phases. So particularly like Ramadan, our goal won't be maximize strength, will
Mm,
not be fat loss. Our goal will perhaps be maintenance. And when it comes to training, I'll focus more on mobility, stretching, movement. So intensity are low to moderate, but the movement is going to be variety. We're going to move in different planes of movements, different body positions. So they're going to explore movements that they never done before, or they don't do it with weight. So we're going to use more body weight. So the intensity is low, but they are moving a lot. They are breaking sweat, they are burning calories, and that is a very, very useful goal
yeah,
to that I use during Ramadan, at least for that 1 month. So what happens is, because we know they are eating less, we know that they won't be able to maximize their strength. So we shift it a little bit, let their body rest from the higher intensity movements that I probably push them a little bit before Ramadan. So during fasting month, they come in, they move, they sweat, we catch up a little bit, we get a mental direction set ahead, preparing for Raya, and just go through it. What happened over the years, I realized with my clients is that after Ramadan, they come back stronger. They come back more flexible. They're able
mm,
to lift similar, if not more weights. And you're wondering, Alvin, but they stopped lifting heavy deadlift, heavy squats for a month. That's fine because your body continues to move. The last thing I would advise you not to do is to stop your gym membership, stop doing workout, and just saying, you know what? I'm just going to eat less and I'm not going to move. I'm going to start right after Raya. That is a big no no because your body is going to sense that, oops, Alvin is moving less, everything slows down. That's going to backfire on you. Yeah, so that's a big
yeah.
no. So, what I would do is just change your goal, work with your trainer, go to your gym, join different types of classes, lower down the intensity to suit you, but keep moving. Movements are mandatory. Movements are the one that's going to lead you closer to your goal. And there's so much science behind it. The more you move, the more calories you burn. It maintain your metabolism, especially during fasting month, which is catabolic, which your muscles break down. So you want to move even more.
Yeah. Plus, we're all sitting down at home, work from home all day. Like really, we just need to
Oh,
find a
right.
reason to go out and move, everybody. So, like Alvin said, it's really just about adapting your fitness routine, changing your goals is okay too. So we talked about 2 points so far. The first point is hunger isn't an emergency. Just because it's fasting month doesn't mean your food intake needs to go all over the place. Second thing we talked about is that we can adjust our training, we can adjust our goals. We don't want to skip moving. We want to keep moving. You don't want to skip moving, right? The third thing I want to bring up is that while we are eating our reduced meal frequency, since we're not eating 3, 4 times a day, focus on getting nourishment because your body's not eating as often as it does. You're still doing, you're still training, you haven't given up on your fitness routine. How about you focus on getting more nourishment from every meal? So when you break fast, think of your body as a sponge. It's like it needs some good nutrition right now. So instead of breaking fast with, of course, in Muslims tend to break fast with dates, which is great. Dates are a great source of energy. It's got your fiber in there. It's got some quick quick absorbing carbs in there to give you some energy. That's always a great option. But what comes after that usually is where people can go very wrong. Are you going to go for the fried, greasy, sugary stuff? Which even not during the fasting month is never really a good idea to indulge in that. Food like that really makes you feel sluggish, makes you feel worse off than you were before. So I know you probably feel super hungry, but think about when you're breaking your fast, how can your meal be complete? Complete means it needs your carbohydrates, it needs your protein portion. If you're vegetarian, then what's your plant-based protein option? It needs your healthy fats. Think of how your meals can be complete. And that's just going to keep you a little bit more on track on your health and fitness goals during the month of Ramadan. And this is where it can completely make a difference between, we all hear this from our Muslim friends, and we hear this from some of our clients as well, that they gain weight during Ramadan. How come? What happened? You should be eating, technically you should be eating less. It's because they not only did they change their food intervals, but they changed their food choices. If they've been eating healthy all this while, suddenly for 30 days, if your food choices completely change, you're not only going to gain weight, but you're going to feel kind of awful as well. And it's really hard. I've walked into the Ramadan bazaar before. It's hard. And if you're hungry and you haven't eaten all day, it's so hard. It's so hard uh to to try and make healthier food choices. But do try, because it makes a difference. And if there's one tip that I can leave you with, which is going to be massive, is that if you can, just try and drink water instead and eat your calories, because that's a one. If you have one big giant tumbler of whatever syrup or some sugary beverage, that's going to be a whole bunch of calories. Better you just eat and eat instead. It's going to be more filling. It's going to give you more nutrition than a sugared beverage. That's one easy way to just make sure you're getting better nutrition. Um,
I like that you bring that up, Noel, because the first thing that our body will send signal to our mind is that I want to drink something sweet, because it's faster for our body to digest and absorb and to get that sweet feeling. And that's why you go everywhere, they would you see a lot of people order sugary drinks standby.
yeah,
Where is a teh ice ke, sirap
yeah,
bandung ke, a fruit juice ke, and I like it that you said you want to eat your calories, not drink your calories.
yeah.
Because when you drink your calories, especially when you are hungry, you're going to drink a whole kampong of
I'll drink the whole
sirap
thing, man.
bandung.
I'll drink the whole thing. But yeah, so that's one easy way to just kind of make a better choice, and then you got more room to eat your vegetables and eat all of those things. Um, so that's what I would say. Do your clients, are there any specific nutritional changes or food challenges that your clients come to you with, Elvin?
No, Noel. I guess my first advice to clients to prep them for Ramadan, I'll say, do what you normally do. Do what you know. And the one thing that I'll have them to take away is plan your meals. The most important thing is planning. Like when you want to break
Yeah,
fast, know
yeah,
what you're going to eat when you break fast. Because when you know what you're going to eat, you're generally going to eat healthier, I would say. I feel bad decision is made when it's time to break fast and perhaps you're busy with work or you're unplanned, the whole day just unfold and you realize like, no food. And you're just going to grab whatever there is around you. And what is around us, Noel? What is in front of your house? What is outside of my studio? Is Bazaar Ramadan. Just right outside of my
oh,
house,
this right
someone
outside. Yeah,
outside of my house, someone opens stores and starts selling like the rice, the sotong, and
yeah,
so every time I pass by, I see, and that's what we will tend to choose. So
yeah,
the key thing I will advise everyone, and especially my clients, and to you watching this, is to plan your meals. When you plan your meals, you know that you're going to have nutrients dense food, like what Noel shared just now. Eat a variety of food, and all of this can be best achieved with you preparing it at home.
yeah. There's a question here. I think we'll talk about it since we were just talking about drinks. Ravin says from his ACE course, he remembers it mentions, well, to summarize the question, Ravin, what would the recommendation during fasting? The same amount of water in much shorter time or to reduce? I would say, yes, I think you want to aim for the same amount of water, but also remember that you get your water from your food. So if you're eating including like fruit in your diet, you're actually getting some liquids from there. To also include that, and not to unnecessarily drink, because like I mentioned in the beginning, I think in the fasting period, the mistake people make sometimes is this whole idea of trying to make up and catch up for the food that they did not eat, right? So if you look at it from that approach, really, so how much do you drink? Is it doesn't neither does it mean that okay, I just drink one glass of water with my meal and that's it, I'm done. No, like even in a not fasting environment, you should be drinking more than that. So drink what you can. If you can drink what you normally would drink, so if every day you drink 3 liters of water, remember you have until even in the morning when you wake up before the fasting period starts. I think that's the best opportunity to load up on a lot of water, and not to load up on a lot of water before you go to bed. Then you're going to wake up and keep running to the toilet, and it's going to interrupt your sleep. But really don't uh, I believe you should not be making an extra effort to really stuff all that water in you because you're not going to drink later on. If you're worried that your training is going to suffer, then maybe plan what time are you training, or change the kind of training that you're doing. Maybe not a good idea to go and run half a marathon when you're not getting a lot of water. Having said that, I hope my answer helps. It may not be the best answer, Ravin, to come to you with exactly how much water am I supposed to drink. I think people also have your intuition to just drink not excessively. That's what I would tell my clients. I could look it up and come back with a better answer. Um, do you have a different answer than that, Alvin? What
I
would you
think I
say?
would add on that,
Mm,
Ace recommendation, like we should be drinking about 2.5 to 3.5 liters. So female 2.5 and male 3.5 on the higher end. Of course, if you are heavier, you will drink slightly more, but that's the range 2.5 to 3.5 liter. And you should want to maintain that, as your daily water intake, even though your window of opportunity is shorter, like in this case Ramadan. And a good strategy is to plan your water intake. So like after breakfast 500 ml,
yeah,
during workout 1 liter, and so on and so forth, and see what works best for you. Like I have this conversation with my client, and one common thing I realized is they come back to me and say, Alvin, I didn't hit my water intake because I didn't plan. I forgot. The day just goes by. They got busy. So one great strategy is to kind of plan. You can use app in your phone, water reminders to just remind you every hour to drink your water, every 2 hours in the morning, at night. And when you can do that, you realize that it's so much easier to hit your water intake. Once again, I agree with Noel. Some people prefer to drink 1 liter straight and just do that 3 times, whereas some prefer to do smaller intake. And it varies. It varies. As long as you hit your daily water requirement, I think you're set for success. Yeah.
yeah. I hope you
Hydration
found
is
that.
key.
I hope you found that helpful. Elvin's tip on the setting the reminders is great. Actually, even if you're not fasting during Ramadan,
All right.
people forget to drink enough water. So,
Exactly.
so set a reminder is all the more it's important, and just try your best to get your intake in. Thank you for asking that question.
Noel, it's
Mm,
before we move on, it's
mm,
it's so true that you say that. Ramadan is, I'm going to put it as, in my opinion, Ramadan is nothing so special in terms of our other days, in terms of nutrition, in terms of training.
yeah,
Okay, religious aside, practices aside, I feel if your daily habits is in place, Ramadan is just you doing them in a different sets of time, in
yeah,
perhaps a little smaller time constraint, time frame for you to go through your daily sets. So if your daily sets of habit is in place going through Ramadan, it's just making some changes and you still be able to do. So I find most people struggle with Ramadan is they, I would say, fail to implement a very systemic or habits in their lifestyle. And therefore, when it comes to Ramadan, such changes, they kind
mm,
of shift them or shake them already.
yeah,
So think about it. Build a sustainable habit this Ramadan. If you are watching this, if you are fasting and you say, oh no, I'm starting this is the time for you to start building a solid, sustainable habit. Because what you do this Ramadan or if you're not fasting, what you do for this intermittent fasting, or in fact today in your daily life. Plan it sustainably, so that the years onward, it's only going to help you achieve success in anything you do.
Yeah, and again, we don't want to go into like super details. We're kind of just giving you very high level, broad tips, because it can be applied in whether or not you're fasting during Ramadan. But to one last tip, probably just to kind of wrap it up, is not really a nutrition tip, but it's really about getting enough sleep.
Mm.
Um, because if you're not getting enough sleep, it's gonna affect your food cravings. It's gonna affect your stress levels the next day. It's a whole other element in there, that you that's just gonna make things a lot harder, especially if you're trying to make changes during this month to eat better, to train better, to make some sort of improvement into your life. And sleep is something that a lot of people will struggle with, especially during Ramadan, because all the mamas will be full. Like at 1 o'clock, people are still eating. Now,
Right.
I don't know what their routine is like. Maybe they're gonna go back at 3 o'clock and they're gonna sleep and wake up at 10 in the morning. Then okay, they're getting enough sleep. But if you're sacrificing sleep just for the sake of eating, I would say that you want to try and figure out your food quantities, and like like spread it out so that the next morning wake up and have your meals. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Maybe you have a chance to take a nap during the day, but pay attention to the amount of sleep that you're getting. I think it's going to be extra challenging during the Ramadan month because of the early waking up for that last meal, and chances are you might be still eating at 10, 11, 12 also. So that kind of disrupts your sleep, which adds on to the next day in your evening, like you're trying to battle with your food cravings. It actually doesn't make it easier. So all the nutrition tips aside that we just shared, um, and we'll summarize this for you shortly, is
Mhm.
just remember that sleep is that thing that will really make a difference, and like kind of tie up all those suggestions that we said into a nice little bow for you, so that it's kind of complete.
I,
Anything you want
I
to
like
add?
that sleep, Noel, because
Mm,
when you share that sleep, it reminds me of something. I remember I watched an interview. It's a bodybuilder asking a nutritionist with a PhD, lah. And the bodybuilder said, if I haven't eat enough calories and I haven't done my training, and I want to do it in the early in the morning, so that I make sure that my training is done. So in that case, I'm going to affect my sleep. And he has
mm,
been doing that, and he asked, is it okay or not? So the nutritionist answered, no, that's going to be worse. If you didn't get enough calories, if you didn't train for that day, get your sleep in first. Never stop sleeping or sleep less, wake up early to do any, never have interrupted sleep. Okay, that is him saying to a bodybuilder. The bodybuilder is thinking that food is more important, working out is more important, sleep can wait. That just shows how important sleep is, because of course the nutritionist tell the guy, if you miss sleep, exactly what Noel said, stress level increase. So if you think of building muscles, getting protein synthesis, eating a protein rich meal is going to help you to get all these lean muscle, it's going to be counterproductive, because without proper good quality sleep, your body is going to be stressed. And if you were to work out and further stress it, it's just going to
yeah.
create like a snowball effect, like what Noel said just now. The next day, the next week, it's all going to carry forward with lack of sleep. So to sum that up, get sleep first, then follow on the rest. And I find that usually, if you have good sleep, somehow the day seems a bit brighter, seems a bit,
Yeah,
and everything
everything
falls in
everything
place.
falls into place. It's very, very
Right.
true. It's not a coincidence. And of course, this Alvin's sharing the story earlier was referring to someone speaking to probably a competitive bodybuilder. So
Right.
every little ounce of muscle that you could have grown matters, because the rest of us are listening to this, Alvin, and going, "Oh my God, I don't get sleep. I haven't got enough sleep for the past 5 years. Does it mean I quit my gym now and just go home and sleep? No, that's not what we're saying. But those are athletes, but it's really, that's how important sleep is. So if during this fasting month, if you're realizing that, okay, you're cutting short on sleep, then just look at ways at how maybe you can go to bed earlier. Maybe that TV show is not that important. It's a whole different topic on its own, but we just want to remind
Correct.
you, because
Yeah.
we know that sleep is going to be challenging. See how you can get more rest. And if you're not getting enough rest, maybe you need to lower down the volume or the intensity of the training that you're doing, because then otherwise you're just kind of running yourself into the ground, and that's just not going
Mm-hmm.
to be improving your health. The goal is to, how can I come out at the end of 30 days after Ramadan healthier, not lighter. Doesn't mean you have to lose weight. How can you come out healthier? How can you come back stronger to go back to the gym, revitalize, re-energize, ready to hit the gym, right? So sleep's definitely important. I want to just, shall we just summarize, Alvin, the five
Let's
points that we just spoke about?
yes,
So
let's do that.
I wrote it down. So the first one is where we spoke about how during fasting, whether Ramadan or not, one thing that this can teach you is that hunger is not an emergency. So if you've never fasted before, if you're watching this, you're not Muslim, you're very, very curious, try a fast. Ramadan month is a good time to do it with your Muslim friends. Try it,
Mm-hmm.
then you understand, relate to it, and you realize that just because you miss a meal or two or for a day doesn't mean that everything's going to go down the drain. So remember that hunger is not an emergency. What was the next point that we had,
The
Alvin?
second point would be to adjust your training and you want to change your goal. Not necessary you need to do high intensity. Not necessary that Ramadan is the time for you to set strength goal, hypertrophy goal to build more muscles. It can also be maintaining or mobility.
Yeah.
But movement is mandatory. So please continue your gym membership, go for class because that's going to keep you going. And that is very, very important.
Great. Point number three, eat a variety of foods, focus on nourishment. So when you're sitting down to breakfast, with all the abundance of delicious food out there, just pay attention to how can you improve your nutrition as well. Make sure your meals are balanced, enough vegetables, enough protein, you got your healthy carbs, not too much sugary stuff, not too much fried stuff. You can still eat those stuff. Don't go on a super healthy diet during Ramadan. That's not what I'm saying. But just in moderation and making sure your body gets the nourishment that it needs. What's the next point,
With
Alvin?
with that, point number four is similar to point number three. You want to avoid
Correct.
sugary drinks, sirap bandung, teh lima ice, stick to ice swamp.
Okay.
Evian, what's the water? Evian water, is it?
Yeah, that's all of that. But you don't have to eliminate all these drinks, right? You don't have to eliminate drinking a sugar drink, but maybe out of the 29, 30 days of fasting, maybe alternate days, maybe. But what you don't want is now 30 days in a row, you're going to be drinking 600 ml of some sugary drink, which you never used to do before fasting. So think of it from that point. And the last one would be sleep, which we were just talking about. Getting enough sleep is very, very important. It's going to help with everything to fall into place, make it easier for you to not give in to food cravings, help you make better food choices, and help you throughout this fasting month to recover from your training. So those are the 5 points that we just wrote down based on what our Elvin and I experience is working with our clients during Ramadan, both clients who are fasting, Muslims who are fasting, and also people who fast for other reasons and other kinds of fast as well. So we find that these tips that we've given have been helpful for them, and we hope that you find them helpful too.
Right. And we are going to put all of these notes in a point form in our show notes at the end of the
Yeah.
show. So do remember to check out our website and the Facebook for all of the show notes and the link. And before we leave you, I just want to share two research study. And I believe, Noel,
Mm.
we came across this as well, especially doing Ramadan research studies on Ramadan. So two of it, I'm going to simplify it for you where you can see the full notes of it in the link later. Number one is both Ramadan fasting and non-Ramadan fasting for Ramadan and Ramadan fasting are effective the same. So people think that I'm going to lose more weight during Ramadan as I fast. No, 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 no. The study shows otherwise. In fact, the study shows if you are just doing a normal intermittent fasting, you're going to lose more weight than the one that doing Ramadan fasting. Okay, read more about it. Very interesting study. Kind of debunk the myth that people say, fat loss during Ramadan. Yeah, maybe not so effective. Okay,
Yeah, of
second
course.
study,
This
very,
study meant that they did the similar training like Alvin. So similar
yep,
training, everything was controlled, and one was fasting like the Ramadan style with no water and no food, and the
correct.
other one was just with no food. And then they found that the outcome was different. Got it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And the second one, it's about sport nutrition. It's about performance. And they found that during Ramadan, athletes' performance drop. Of course, when they're going through Ramadan protocol, the guidelines, the fasting, the lack of water, performance drop. So it's very interesting study. Also shows that if you plan for a performance goal, a strength goal during Ramadan when you're not at your best nutrition 100%, you might want to tweak your goal a little bit, and that's really normal. I say that from seeing a lot of athletes when during Ramadan month they kind of change their goal a bit. Have a look at the research study if these areas interest you, and you have any questions, once again feel free to reach out to Noel and myself. We are here happy to answer any questions or guide you in any way.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pulled out those two researchers as well. There's a whole bunch now. Like there's, I think there's easily at least 40 to 50 different studies and groups that have kind of done research on fasting and the results. Because if you like, I still remember like I think 8 9 years ago when I was trying to look for research on fitness and fasting, and there was hardly any. And I still
Right.
remember I asked a very super intelligent professor from some university in the US who talks a lot about nutrition and this, and he had no idea that I asked him. He said the Muslims do what once a year? I said once a year they for 30 days they don't eat during from sunrise to
Mhm.
sunset, and they don't drink water. He had never heard of it, and this is someone doing all kinds of research. So back then there was not a lot of information, but right now there is. So thanks for pulling that out, Alvin, and he'll be adding it to the show notes. So do your own research as well, because there's a lot of interesting things to see how the body behaves and reacts during this fasting period. Fasting doesn't mean that we quit our fitness and nutrition goals. It just actually it's a time for us to discover and learn more about our body and how we can
Mhm.
adapt when food and water is not readily available.
Amazing. Is there any questions, Noel? Let's look through our
Actually,
notes.
no. There's just that one just now about the water intake. So I guess we can kind of wrap up tonight.
Amazing. So our invitation to you is to go to our Facebook Live, which stays on our Facebook page, Daily Muscle and Achieve Fitness. Make a comment, share this live so that it reach out to more people. And in that comment, I want you to share one thing you learned from today's episode. Noel and I will always go back to the Facebook, answers your questions, read your comment. So we stay connected by reading, and you can reach out to us with your comments. Okay, if there's any questions, we invite you to comment or DM us. And we thank you for spending your Monday night with us. And we enjoy you. And with that, we wish you a happy and healthy week ahead.